This video's made for adult collectors because this is exciting now. All the new stuff is starting to like slowly trickle out. My Armada Jetfire is on the way.
You know what? It would kind of help if I had the figures I was going to be looking at, but I left them in the other room before getting ready because I wrote about them last night, and I should just go get them. There's number 1 and number 2. I swear this is for work purposes.
Last time I looked at these guys was like 3, maybe 4 years ago. Actually, it was 3 and 4 years ago respectively. Ew, I hate looking back at my old thumbnails. They were lazy as hell. Well, I figured it would be interesting to take a fresh look back now that the new one got shown off. I'm really looking forward to the new one. And it's going to be compared to these two because that's just what we inevitably do as a fandom. And one of these figures is really good and the other one is the leader. The new one is a leader figure that has bits that come off, optional by the way, to make the dragon mode, which I think is fantastic. These two are just standard old Transformers that don't do anything too special. Well, this one tries to be special, but pretty much fails at everything but being big and having probably the coolest blast effects a Transformers ever had. But I guess we'll start with the Voyager because he's smaller. I painted the red stripe on his face. Young me went a bit overboard, okay, I know. This is my copy from 2017 that I got from Universal Studios Orlando when my parents and I went on vacation there. He looks great, a little square in his proportions because the kibble management's a bit strange. It uses a lot of the parts of the jet well, but the lower legs having the wings folded around it don't really help the shaping that much. I do love the bits of gold around the arms and the torso. It helps bring a pop of color to the monotonous gray. It's also a gunmetal gray with bits of like silvery gray to break it up. He also has his fusion cannon. Let's try that again. He also has his fusion cannon, and even with the lack of a waist joint, he poses pretty okay. It's a nice size too. He fits with the new leader prime that honestly, if you're a bit on the fence about the new leader, this would make a pretty fine substitute. The battle mask doesn't do anything on this guy. I do hope the new one can do that. He comes with his famous Ikakalaka. It's a cool sword. Here's the Wikipedia page for it. But it's such a badass choice to give to Megatron. I want more Megatrons to come with this thing. Like, they went all out in making the most badass Megatron design and sticking it in the worst possible movie. And I thought the Mad Max looking one with the cloak was badass. And then we got this and it's so good. The weapon also stores on the back just by pegging it in. It's straight up and down rather than on an angle, but whatever. The other one does do the angle thing, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll berate that figure later. The head of the Voyager is on a ball joint and a hinge, so he can rotate and look up and down, but there's barely any tilt. The shoulders can rotate and the pads can open to allow for in and out motion. I love the asymmetry of the upper torso, by the way. There is a bicep swivel, over 90 degrees of elbow bend, and nothing at the wrist, and then there's no waist joint because of how this thing transforms. There's a big stem that goes from the bottom all the way to the midsection because that's how the arms lock into place. The hip skirts can move out of the way to allow the legs to go forward. They don't go back that far, and then they go in and out. He does have thigh rotation, 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and then the calf can bend too. That's more for transformation, but it can still work, I guess. And then he's got really good ankle tilts. Modern wise, he's honestly just missing waists and wrists. The plastic feels a bit off. It's the last night plastic, so it's a bit thin and it sticks a lot if you don't touch it for more than a week. Like the joints creak and the plastic tabs stick and then get stiff. It's very strange. But okay, enough beating around the bush. The leader class. He looks fine. Actually, I have no issues with the look. He does have a bit of a backpack, but it's not the worst. But then there's the build quality. Ooh. So I've had 2 copies of this figure and they've both had issues. My last copy had 2 left heels, so I could never transform it properly. So the backpack doesn't peg in very well, and they put all the weight on one side of the figure and his hips are so loose. I didn't know Megatron was trying out for gymnastics. Do they do the splits in gymnastics? I think so. He does do the battle mask gimmick, which is very cool, but it doesn't work. It used to work, but now it's just broken or something. I don't know. I haven't touched this thing in years. They did throw a bit of like a dry brushing and a wash on this guy, which does help the deco. There's a bit more gold and it's brighter than the Voyager. The grays are the same as the Voyager though. Oh, and he's gorilla armed. Yeah, so he has wrist swivels, but once you rotate the arms so that the elbows bend properly, you have these massive gaping hollow spaces and the cannon is now on the underside. It just doesn't work. The wings also don't sit together properly. Never figured out what's causing that. He's just not all there. This thing isn't fun to mess with, but he does come with some wicked accessories. You've got the massive Ikakalaka, which I give to Concept Art Megatron because that just works a lot better for me. And then the 2 flame effects. These are so cool. hard and long. Wait, hold up. They're huge and they're made of hard plastic. They work great with like Titan Grimlock for flamethrowers and stuff, but everything else about this is weird. Articulation is so strange. So the head can rotate and that's about it. The shoulders can do a full 360 and go in and out. He's got bicep rotation, inward elbow motion, wrist rotation and wrist hinges. Nothing at the waist because of, well, all of this. Hip skirts can move out of the way to accommodate the ratcheting forward and back at the hips. And then there's no ratchet in and out and it shows. Ugh. Thigh rotation, knees that bend 90 degrees, and ankle tilts. He has articulation, it's just not very usable. But of all the cool things about this design, the alt mode ranks close to the top of that list for me. He becomes a jet that was first a dragon, then a backwards jet before they flipped it around, hence why the boosters are the wrong way on the actual physical toy. All right, it's 38 degrees Celsius. I'm underneath 3 studio lights and it's hot in this room. So let's see if I can get 2 Transformers done without overheating. We'll do the idiot later. I want to do the actual good one first. It's very unique in how it works and you don't expect it to work this way. And I'm very curious to know how the new one's going to do it because it looks like the wings end up on the back like the other leader, the crappy leader. So I'm wondering if it shares some engineering with that. But this is like, oh, it's a very unique jet transformation. So to start with, we're going to fold the wings out, and then you're going to flip the ankle tilts in and then rotate them inward, and they're going to peg in underneath the wings. Something on my desk is rattling. What's rattling? Well, it fell on the floor and shattered. That could have gone better. I'll have to fix that. All right, once you have that done, you want to rotate the legs this way and then just sort of leave them out like that. We're going to take the fusion cannon, fold it up, and then fold this piece in, and then get the wrists on both sides folded into place. Take the head, rotate it 180 degrees, and bring the cockpit down on a really stiff sounding joint. Unclip the torso, and then bring that back. Not all the way, because it's going to get in the way of the wings. Then we're going to take these sections and rotate them out, and then we can bring the legs all the way out, so we can have room to work on this. So you take the arms, and you just fold them in. They're going to peg together. Kind of a bit difficult to do with a camera in your face, but there it is. Once you get this clipped into place, you fold these bits up like that. Bring this down and it's going to peg into the hip skirts at the arms. So you get that situated, you bring the legs back and then you bring these up and they're going to peg the legs into the body. Very clever how that works. And then you take the sword, plug it into the top, and that's the jet. I love how like the whole torso just goes from here and goes onto the back and then the legs spread out to be the wings. And it's pretty clean too. That's like he looked like about that thick, maybe a little bit thinner in the movie, but yeah, you know, that's pretty nice. And now for the not so nice. I don't like this, if that wasn't already apparent. So the first thing we're gonna do is, I guess, get the backpack out of the way. So we're gonna rotate the wings out, bring these sections out, and then just continuously rotate everything down and then peg it together. Getting this like shifted up is really annoying because you have to feed it through here, but this doesn't sit really flush, so it does kind of stretch the plastic a little bit. It's very odd. Once you do that, you fold out the boosters, which were the cannons in the original concept design, and then you take the whole backpack and you want to shift it down on this hinge. Then you want to take the torso, pull it forward, right, and the hip skirts are going to come down as well. Fold the head up, and there's a little slot here that's going to go into that tab. So you just peg that into place there. Then we're gonna take the arms, bring them up, fold the wrists in, bring this panel, open it up, and just shimmy the arm inward. And you wanna do the same on this side, except when you fold the wrist in, you're gonna push. You're gonna push. Why is it not? There it is. Push this out. And then this will accordion, there we go, it'll accordion forward. You take the fusion cannon, you compress it, and then you bring these bits in, and they will lock into place. They will probably spring out because they don't like staying. And you bring this down, and that will peg into here. Then you shimmy the arm up, and then you bring this around, and it will just sort of sit in here. There's like a tab that goes into a slot in the shoulder. Then you bring this around. What fell now? Missing Link Sunstreaker took a dive, and then you bring, see, it's open. And then you bring this around, and these are going to peg right here into here. And then I can never get that out. Like, seriously, yesterday, it took me so long to get that out that I'm pretty sure I stressed the tab on both sides here because it got stuck. Because again, for some reason, this plastic just likes to stick to itself. It's very weird. It's only happening now, too, 10 years later. But you get that pegged in, that's come undone again. So you have to make sure this is fully pushed back all the way in order for this to lock in. But it's so loose in there that it will like shimmy itself out and then these will just open. Once you have the front done,
Come back here to the legs. Get the wings out of the way. You take them, you rotate them in, you fold this piece out, straighten this out and fold the foot down. Then you bend it at the knee and then at this little hinge right here. Ow! Which is a bit annoying to get out. And then it hooks underneath the torso. Then you bring the wings down and you just sort of spread them onto the legs, and there's like several tabs. All right. There are tabs here and here that go into slots on the wings. So you get that squeezed together like so. Make sure the hip skirts are flush. Make sure this torso bit is pressed all the way up, because if it's not going to sit flat on the landing gear at the back. And then you fold the landing gear at the front up, and there goes that. There goes the nose cone. And there you have something moved that wasn't supposed. Oh yeah, that popped out of place. There you have the jet. It's nice looking, but getting it here I don't like.
That's such a badass looking alien jet. I love how it looks like he has an exposed engine at the top, like those hot rod cars. And I especially love how the leader's nose cone refuses to stay put together and pops open all the time. That sucks.
While holding the Voyager for that last shot, I just noticed something. What happened? Why I'm like, the nose feels like it's drooping. Why? It's bent. I don't understand when this happened. I haven't touched this in a long time, and it's just like, what? I don't want to like put it back. It's gonna snap off. That's, yeesh. I didn't notice. I thought it was just like a soft tip that had bent. No, this is a hard plastic tip, and it's just like,
the Voyager feels a lot more dense and robust. It also has more gold on it, but the leader has the cool Cybertronian tattoos, which always do it for me. The Voyager also has the feet hanging out under the wings, but otherwise it's a pretty clean profile. The leader has much cleaner wings and more shaping to the alt mode versus the squareness of the Voyager, but the leader also has this massive tumor hanging out of the bottom. I just noticed my Voyager has some paint chipping on the engine part. I mean, I have had this for almost 10 years now. And the leader class does have landing gear and an opening cockpit, which is nice. Their weapons can store on the back of each alt mode, and the blast effects can plug into the cannons that turn into boosters when they flip the jet around, so the leader can fly. They aren't compatible with the Voyager. I do like both alt modes if the gimmick of the leader would stop activating, but the clear winner figure-wise between these two is the Voyager. Sure, it's not modern in its articulation and the plastic likes to stick a lot, but it's a lot more fun to handle than the other idiot. If you had to get one, I'd probably say the Voyager, but we do have a new one coming out. If you prefer the look of this one though over the new leader, it's actually not that expensive on the aftermarket. You're paying maybe $5 more than retail back in the day. I really advise against spending money on the old leader though. Unless you really like the fact that he's big, he's too pricey and he just sucks. But that's my look at the Last Night Leader and Voyager Megatrons. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.